All right, welcome back to the channel. So, little birdie tells me that Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia's fight dates are going to be announced soon, and that little birdie is called tweet from a what do you call it? A tweet with emojis from Errol Spence Jr. Man, Errol Spence Jr. and Gervonta Davis are like the emoji kings these days. Man, I'm actually starting to learn how to interpret them things. It's like Egyptian hieroglyphics with these dudes, man. But I'm starting to follow it a little more closely. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. If you cannot tell, I am amped about this second half. What's the date of the day? July 23rd. So the last half, a little less than half, second half of the year in boxing in 2020. Because let me tell you, the first half was terrible. It was terrible, man. Terrible. We had one really good fight, exciting event in Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, and then all of boxing got shut down because of this virus. And even the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight was like, sour grapes for me now. And yeah, I can say it, yeah, sour grapes now. Not at the time, because when the fight happened and Deontay Wilder won, Tyson Fury won the fight, I was just like, wow, what happened? Well, hey man, it is what it is. We'll get to see a trilogy. But then all the stuff came out with Tyson Fury cheating. Like just overwhelming proof that he cheated. That right there just makes you feel like, man, geez, just kind of ruined it. Right. So other than that, though, nothing happened. ESPN came back, at least a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, and has had like no fights that I've been interested in, no world-class fights, no top level fights, just, maybe a good fighter or a good prospect or a good veteran against somebody that they were going to blow out. Just not. But then Showtime announced its fight card for this year, going from September through December, and it's bananas. Like, it's bananas. You have a co-pay-per-view event, the Charlo brothers on a joint pay-per-view. You have Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. You have Erickson Lubin is fighting. Just a bunch of very, very solid fights against evenly matched. Not everybody's. Yeah, everybody on that thing is evenly matched. Everybody is fighting somebody that has a chance to beat them, right? And they're all big name fighters that I as a boxing fan want to see. So I got it amped. Then I remembered that, hold on, man, Fox has not released their schedule, and they've got what they consider to be the quote unquote premium fighters fighting, or the premium fights taking place on the PBC premium fights taking place over there on Fox. So what does that tell you about what Fox is going to do? Now, Shelly Finkel already announced or said in response to a question that Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder is happening this year. And then, of course, now there's speculation about Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia, and Errol Spence Jr. responds with emojis. I'll show you the picture of the emojis in the more than likely in the thumbnail of the video, so you can see the picture there. Small chance that I'll feel like editing it and putting it up here, I do believe is where you'll see it, up here. But it's a smiley face, like just a couple of faces, like, and an overturned smiley face, like, yeah, man, we about to announce it. It's about to pop. So Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia, is a fight that's been mandated by the WBC. There's no conversations going on about Danny Garcia fighting Manny Pacquiao. So there you go. We're about to get this fight, and I'm excited about it, man, because it is a very high level fight. And it is a fight that if Errol Spence can win, I'm moving him even higher up my pound for pound list. Like right now, I can't remember. I have like 5. I'm gonna actually put my formal pound for pound list together and that'll be available for people to see somewhere. That announcement is coming soon because I get a lot of questions about fights and fantasy matchups and things. So I now have a place where I can put that type of content where you guys can just, we can chop it up about it over there. But Errol Spence Jr. is going to be in my, top four probably. Like, right, it would probably be Terrence Crawford, Vasily Lomachenko, and then I might put, if he can beat Danny Garcia, I might put Errol Spence right there, man. Might put him in number 3 because Danny Garcia he would have beaten Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, who's a former WBC champion at welterweight, and he was multiple weight, a weight class below that, but at welterweight, beat Sean Porter, who's a 2-time champion at welterweight, beat Kell Brook for the championship at welterweight. All of these guys are extremely, extremely solid fighters. And as a result, dude, I would have to put Errol Spence Jr. even higher up, the pay-per-view list, the pound for pound list. And the fact that he's coming off of a car accident that I do believe took place in I think the car accident might have been in the October time frame, something like that. And I think that I think that he said that that he got over all of his therapies and all that stuff around the December time frame. Man, I don't try to keep the date of that accident in my mind, dog. That was just, God, man, that was just so horrific. But the fact that he is coming off of that to a fight this caliber, there's going to be a lot of questions about Errol Spence Jr. and how Errol Spence Jr. is going to look in the fight with Danny Garcia. So, it's the fact that it's, even if Errol Spence Jr. had not been in that car accident, I would be very interested in seeing what was going on with this fight regardless. Because Danny Garcia has never been blown out, man. Danny Garcia is a solid competitor, man. He gave Sean Porter a terrific fight. He gave Keith Thurman a terrific fight, especially in the second halves of the fight. And even though I wouldn't say that Danny Garcia is, a top 3 welterweight, that really is kind of, neither here nor there because the welterweight division is just really deep. You know what I mean? Like, you can be in another weight class, say, 130 pounds. You can be a fighter like Oscar Valdez, right? You know what I mean? At 130 pounds, you can be Oscar Valdez and be a top 5 130 pounder because there's nobody really at the weight class but Tevin Farmer and Miguel Berchelt, right? So what? Because not so what? It's obviously an accomplishment to be the top of any weight class, but it doesn't mean as much as it would at welterweight where you have multiple guys who are Hall of Famers. I mean, you have Manny Pacquiao's a shoe-in for Hall of Fame. Terrence Crawford is a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame. Errol Spence Jr. is knocking on the door of the Hall of Fame. I think Sean Porter, quite honestly, dude, deserves a nod, deserves more than a few nods for the Hall of Fame, just for the fact that this dude, the type of competition this guy's given, even though he came on the short end of some of those fights, if you got guys like Arturo Gatti's ass in the, no, RIP, no disrespect to Arturo Gatti, but if you got Arturo Gatti and guys like Oscar Bonavena and guys like that in the International Hall of Fame, I do believe Oscar Bonavena is in there. If he ain't, he's going to get in there eventually. That Sean Porter is that level of fighter. So, even though Danny Garcia is not, the top level, and matter of fact, there you go. Danny Garcia probably should be in the Hall of Fame for what he did at 140 pounds. I mean, at least there's a very solid argument for it. That's how deep 147 pounds, 147 pounds is, man. So I'm looking forward to the fight for both of those reasons. Now, I also am hoping that we can get a surprise on this card. I'm looking at this like a deck of cards, dude. Like, I'm looking at something like, I'm looking at the flop, right? So we know in this particular hand, we got dealt a pair of kings, right? Or what would the hand be? We got an ace and we got an ace and a diamond. We got an ace and king of diamonds, right? So I'm liking this, and I'm going to say, hey, man, let me put this money on here. Let me see what's going to happen on this flop. Man, I'm hoping this flop turns over Devin Haney versus Yuriorkis Gamboa, right? So because Devin Haney versus Yuriorkis Gamboa as an undercard to Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia makes that fight as viable a pay-per-view event that's more viable pay-per-view event than Jermell Charlo versus Rosario and Jamal Charlo versus Deravinchenko, or Gervonta Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz. I'm not sure who's on the undercard. I'm not sure who's on the undercard of that. But dude, please put Devin Haney versus Yuriorkis Gamboa on the undercard of the Spence versus Danny Garcia pay-per-view card. And I'm just hoping that the PBC can convince Devin Haney to fight Yuriorkis Gamboa, on a Fox card, because that would work really well for Devin Haney, because Devin Haney's a spectacular fighter and Yuriorkis Gamboa is a known commodity, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on the fight for the Errol Spence Jr. Danny Garcia, and to have Devin Haney be able to fight right before that fight, man, who knows, dude? Devin Haney might mess around and steal the show on Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia if he puts on just an electrifying performance. But dude, that's what I'm saying, man. I'm really optimistic. I'm really excited about the second half of boxing because of this. Now, I started this video, and just so you guys know, I do these videos off the cuff. I just write a couple things that I know that I want to talk about for sure, or some notes that just help me if my mind gets stuck. But I diverted this conversation in the middle of the video to the Devin Haney versus Yuriorkis Gamboa on the undercard, because I thought to myself, yeah, man, that card would fit more than what I would really like to see, which I know they're not going to give us. But man, how great would this be if the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury fight 3 was on the same card as Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia? Dude, I would pay $100 for that pay-per-view. I would come off there is no way I would not come off $100 for that pay-per-view. That would be a terrific pay-per-view. And I might tip whoever it is. We need to get together and bribe the Nevada State Athletic Commission and go find who's going to be inspecting those gloves and make sure they take whatever pair of gloves Tyson Fury is trying to put on, make him take them off and give him another pair of gloves. That's how I would say handle it. But anyway, man, I'm loving this conversation, dude. Boxing seems like it's about to start kicking off again. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.